I read Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil by John Berend. Berend is from Syracuse, New York. He attended Harvard University, became staff for the humor magazine called Harvard Lampoon, and graduated with a degree in English. After he graduated, he moved to New York City to pursue a career in journalism. He became the associate editor and columnist at Esquire magazine, as well as the editor of the New York Magazine. He wrote 2 bestsellers, including Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, as well as The City of Falling Angels. He also received the award known as the Lambda Literary Award for Gay Men's Mystery. Berend's claim to fame comes from his best-selling book called Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. This non-fictional novel spent over 4 years on the New York Times bestseller list and still holds the record for the longest time spent as the bestseller of the Times. It was a finalist for the Pulitzer Prize and received the Booker Prize in South Africa. Berend said the book does not follow the exact sequence of what occurred, but he did have many interviews over 8 years that are present throughout the book. This book later became a film directed by Clint Eastwood. Both the book and the movie had many great reviews, including some from the Boston Globe and the New York Times. The purpose of his book was to entertain and inform. The story was from a journalist's viewpoint of entertaining the audience with the eccentric characters, but he also included an author's view of telling a true story. The concept of this book was to examine influence of situations on one's actions and to draw attention to the power of one's identity and roles within a community. This novel describes Berend's experiences in the daily lives of the very peculiar residents of Savannah, Georgia, in the 1980s, as they are all caught up in a murder trial of one of Savannah's most prestigious and wealthy citizens, Jim Williams. From this book, I not only learned the true story behind this infamous murder trial, but also the power that situations and one's predetermined roles, based on his social status, has over his actions. Williams admitted the truth to Berend about killing his employee and secret lover, Danny Hansford, but was charged not guilty mostly because of his role as a wealthy and powerful man in Savannah. Throughout the trial, Williams went to extreme measures to buy his way out of being convicted guilty by hiring a top-dollar lawyer and a voodoo priestess to ensure that he would be proven innocent. After the 4th and final trial that by default proved his innocence, Williams returned to his role of being the wealthy and charming host of the town by planning his next Christmas party while ignoring the truth about committing murder. One of the most interesting points in this book was the fact that Williams was ruled not guilty solely because of his social status and influence. Everyone in the town was convinced that whether Williams murdered Hansford or not, Williams was never going to jail because of the combination of his money and charm. The fact that Williams guiltlessly allowed himself to be proven innocent, even after he admitted the truth to Berend, leaves me wondering what Williams' true motives were. He admitted that it was not because of self-defense, but I wonder if there was a gradual buildup of an intolerance of Hansford's behaviors that exploded in the moment he pulled the trigger. Many concepts from this psychology class are present throughout Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, including the power of situations and their influence on one's ability to commit actions of evil, such as murder. Berend's investigation discovers the situational progression of the motives for murder by interviewing the locals, and it becomes more about the particular sequence of events leading up to a homicide. Some situations can overpower our own beliefs of what we do in a certain situation and make us behave in ways we never thought imaginable. This can also lead to the implementation of one's roles in society as a disguise or an excuse for his or her immoral actions. Williams' roles in the town of Savannah included being a notable antique dealer and a wealthy and charming host of his renowned parties. These roles were so important to him that he denied murdering Hansford because he did not want to be viewed as a murderer. He wanted to make sure he was remembered as the famously wealthy man with extraordinary parties. Using roles as a disguise for committing an immoral act can be dangerous because they provide people with an excuse for committing a crime.